The morning sun rose gently over the horizon, painting the skies in hues of orange and pink. Birds chirped cheerfully, and the world seemed to wake up as it always did. In bustling cities, people hurried to catch buses or sip their morning coffee. Farmers tended to their crops under the golden light, while children laughed and played in schoolyards. It was an ordinary day, or so everyone thought. High above the planet, something extraordinary was happening. At first, no one noticed. The change began subtly, almost imperceptible against the vast blue canvas of Earth's atmosphere. A faint shimmer rippled across the sky, like heat waves rising from asphalt on a summer's day. Some dismissed it as a trick of the light. Others paused for a moment, squinting upward but quickly returning to their routines. But then, the shimmer grew stronger, more pronounced, until it became impossible to ignore. A massive crack appeared in the heavens, splitting open the sky with eerie precision. It wasn't natural. It couldn't be. The fissure widened rapidly, revealing darkness beyond the familiar clouds and sunlight. People stopped what they were doing, staring upward in confusion and awe. Phones were pulled out, cameras clicked, and social media feeds flooded with videos of the phenomenon. Was this some kind of glitch, a weather anomaly, or perhaps something else entirely? Before anyone could make sense of it, objects emerged through the rift. They descended slowly at first, their shapes growing clearer with each passing second. Colossal vessels floated into view, dwarfing anything humans had ever built. These weren't mere spaceships. They were star destroyers, monstrous machines, bristling with weapons and glowing ominously with pulsating lights. Their metallic surfaces gleamed menacingly under the sun, casting long shadows that stretched across entire cities below. Panic erupted instantly, streets filled with screams as people scrambled for cover, unsure whether these alien ships meant peace or destruction. Cars screeched to a halt, abandoning passengers who ran for safety. Office workers huddled by windows, frozen in disbelief. Parents grabbed their children, pulling them close as they sought shelter indoors. News outlets around the globe interrupted programming to broadcast live footage of the unfolding event. Reporters stammered, struggling to find words to describe what they were witnessing. "This is unprecedented," one anchor repeated breathlessly. "We have no idea what these things are." Governments sprang into action, though none knew exactly how to respond. Emergency meetings convened in secret bunkers. Military forces mobilized, and fighter jets roared into the skies to investigate. Yet even the most advanced human technology looked primitive compared to the sheer scale and sophistication of the alien fleet. The star destroyers loomed silently overhead, unmoving yet intimidating, as if studying the planet beneath them. Amidst the chaos, reactions varied wildly. Many succumbed to terror, convinced that humanity stood on the brink of extinction. Religious leaders called for prayer, urging followers to repent before judgment arrived. Conspiracy theorists claimed vindication, shouting about government cover-ups and ancient prophecies coming true. Others simply froze, paralyzed by shock, unable to process the enormity of what was happening. But not everyone reacted with fear. Scattered throughout the world, pockets of defiance began to emerge. Ordinary citizens refused to cower, choosing instead to face the unknown head-on. Among them was Captain Elena Rodriguez, a decorated fighter pilot known for her unshakable resolve under pressure. When news broke of the alien arrival, she didn't hesitate. She suited up, climbed into her cockpit, and prepared to defend her home, no matter the odds. Elena wasn't alone. Around the globe, similar stories unfolded. Engineers converted industrial machinery into makeshift defenses. Teachers organized community shelters, calming frightened families. Teenagers used social media to spread information and coordinate efforts among peers. Even farmers joined the cause, offering fields as landing zones for emergency supply drops. Together, these individuals formed a patchwork network of resistance, united by a shared belief that humanity would not go down without a fight. As hours passed, the initial panic gave way to a strange sort of calm. The aliens made no move to attack, nor did they attempt communication. Instead, their fleet remained stationary, hovering silently above major cities. This uncertainty only added to the tension. What did they want? Why had they come now after centuries of silence from the stars? Speculation ran rampant, fueling both hope and dread. Scientists worked tirelessly to analyze the situation. Astrophysicists studied the rift in the sky, hypothesizing that it might represent a tear in spacetime itself. Linguists debated how best to communicate with the invaders, should they choose to speak. Meanwhile, military strategists planned contingencies for every possible scenario, from peaceful negotiation to all-out war. Despite the mounting anxiety, there was a quiet determination spreading among the fearful masses. Stories of bravery began to circulate, tales of ordinary people performing extraordinary acts. A father in Brazil had shielded his family from falling debris when a sonic boom shook their neighborhood. A group of teenagers in Japan had hacked into local surveillance systems to monitor alien movements. A retired soldier in Canada had rallied neighbors to build barricades around their town. Each story served as a reminder that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its technology, but in its resilience. Night fell, bringing with it a surreal sight. The star destroyers glowed brighter against the darkened sky, bathing cities in an otherworldly light. People gathered on rooftops and balconies, watching the spectacle unfold. Conversations took place in hushed tones, punctuated by moments of laughter or tears. Strangers bonded over shared fears and hopes, finding comfort in unity during a time of uncertainty. In New York City, crowds gathered in Times Square, staring upward at the looming vessel above them. Someone started singing the national anthem, and soon thousands joined in, their voices echoing through the canyon of skyscrapers. Similar scenes played out worldwide, from London to Tokyo, Sydney to Rio de Janeiro. Music, chants, and prayers filled the air, transforming fear into solidarity. Back. In her cockpit, Captain Rodriguez felt a surge of pride as she listened to reports of these spontaneous gatherings. She adjusted her controls, ready to launch at a moment's notice. Her squadron had been tasked with probing the alien fleet, gathering intelligence while avoiding direct confrontation. It was a dangerous mission, but someone had to do it. As dawn approached, the first official transmission came. A deep, resonant voice boomed across every radio frequency, television channel, and internet platform simultaneously. "We are the Vorthak Dominion," it declared, its tone cold and authoritative. "You have trespassed into our territory, and your continued existence threatens the balance of the galaxy." The message sent shockwaves through society. Governments scrambled to verify the claim, pouring resources into research to determine whether Earth truly lay within claimed space by another civilization. Political leaders debated responses, torn between appeasement and aggression. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens grappled with existential questions. Had humanity unknowingly provoked this invasion? Could peace still be achieved? Yet amidst the fear and uncertainty, the defiant spirit of humanity burned brighter than ever. Captain Rodriguez and countless others stood ready to face whatever came next. For better or worse, the stage was set. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and humanity would rise or fall to meet its destiny. The transmission from the Vorthak Dominion echoed across the globe, leaving billions stunned and uneasy. "You have trespassed into our territory, and your continued existence threatens the balance of the galaxy." The words were chilling, their meaning unclear but undeniably ominous. Humanity had never considered itself part of a larger galactic community, let alone one governed by an alien empire like the Vorthak. Governments scrambled to respond, military leaders strategized behind closed doors, and ordinary people tried to make sense of what was happening. In the hours following the announcement, confusion reigned supreme. Scientists pored over astronomical data, attempting to determine whether Earth indeed lay within claimed space by the Vorthak. Some argued that humanity couldn't possibly have trespassed without knowing. Others speculated that recent advances in deep space exploration might have inadvertently crossed boundaries invisible to human instruments. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories multiplied online, with some claiming the invasion was staged while others insisted ancient civilizations had warned of this day long ago. Amidst the chaos, governments began issuing statements urging calm, emergency. Broadcasts advised citizens to stay indoors, stockpile supplies, and prepare for potential evacuations. Military forces mobilized en masse, positioning fighter jets, tanks, and naval fleets near major cities, where the Star Destroyers loomed ominously overhead. Yet despite these efforts, fear continued to spread like wildfire. Grocery stores emptied within hours as panicked shoppers cleared shelves of canned goods, bottled water, and batteries. Gas stations ran dry as people attempted to flee urban centers, clogging highways and causing gridlock. But not everyone succumbed to panic. In small towns and rural areas, communities banded together, pooling resources and sharing information. Farmers offered shelter to displaced families. Mechanics converted vehicles into makeshift transports, and local leaders organized patrols to maintain order. These grassroots efforts provided a glimmer of hope amid the growing despair. Social media platforms buzzed with stories of courage and resilience. A teacher in Ohio teaching survival skills via live streams, a group of teenagers in India creating apps to track alien movements, and a retired engineer in Germany designing DIY defense mechanisms using scrap metal. Captain Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of humanity's response. As leader of her squadron, she was tasked with probing the alien fleet, gathering intelligence, and testing their defenses. Her team consisted of seasoned pilots and fresh recruits alike, all united by a shared determination to protect their planet. Before launching their first sortie, Elena gathered her crew in the briefing room, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We don't know much about these invaders," she began, pacing slowly as her gaze swept across the room. "They're bigger, stronger, and more advanced than anything we've ever faced. But they've got one thing we don't. They're scared. They wouldn't be here if they weren't worried about us. And that gives us an edge." Her words resonated deeply with her team. For the first time since the crisis began, many felt a flicker of confidence. If even someone as fearless as Captain Rodriguez believed humanity could prevail, then maybe there was still hope. The mission launched shortly after sunrise. Elena led her squadron high into the atmosphere, their fighter jets climbing steadily toward the nearest Star Destroyer. The massive vessel loomed above them, its surface bristling with turrets and glowing with pulsating energy fields. It was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a reminder of just how outmatched humanity truly was. As they approached, smaller scout ships detached from the destroyer, swarming toward the intruders like hornets defending their nest. Laser fire erupted instantly, crisscrossing the sky in dazzling bursts of red and green. Elena maneuvered her jet with precision, dodging incoming shots while returning fire whenever possible. Her teammates followed suit, weaving through the chaos with practiced skill. Despite their training, however, the odds were stacked heavily against them. The alien ships moved faster, fired more accurately, and seemed impervious to conventional weaponry. Within minutes, 2 human fighters exploded mid-air, sending shockwaves rippling through the formation. Gritting her teeth, Elena ordered a retreat, unwilling to sacrifice any more lives unnecessarily. Back on the ground, debriefings revealed valuable insights. While the aliens possessed superior firepower, their shields appeared vulnerable to sustained bombardment. Additionally, their movements suggested predictable patterns, which could potentially be exploited in future engagements. Engineers worked tirelessly to modify existing aircraft, reinforcing armor plating and upgrading weapon systems based on observations from the mission. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts intensified. World leaders convened emergency summits debating whether to appeal for peace or prepare for war. Some advocated for surrender, believing resistance futile given the technological disparity between humans and the Vorthak. Others called for immediate retaliation, arguing that showing weakness would only embolden the enemy further. Public opinion remained divided, with protests erupting in cities worldwide. Peace activists marched through streets holding signs reading, "Negotiate, don't annihilate," while hawkish factions demanded swift action to defend Earth. Against this backdrop of uncertainty, everyday heroes continued to emerge. In Chicago, a young programmer named Alex Chen hacked into a downed alien drone recovered during the failed sortie. Working around the clock alongside a team of volunteers, he deciphered fragments of the Vorthak language embedded in the device's software. Though incomplete, his findings hinted at potential vulnerabilities in their technology, information that could prove invaluable in future battles. Elsewhere, Dr. Jameson Lee, a brilliant physicist whose unconventional theories had once been dismissed as radical, proposed a bold idea. He suggested harnessing quantum entanglement principles observed in captured alien tech to create a weapon capable of disabling entire fleets simultaneously. Skeptical yet desperate, funding poured into his project, allowing him to assemble a team of top minds dedicated solely to making his vision a reality. Days turned into weeks as humanity prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Training intensified for soldiers and civilians alike, with drills conducted in schools, offices, and neighborhoods. Factories repurposed production lines to manufacture weapons and defensive equipment, while researchers raced to develop countermeasures against alien technology. Every available resource was redirected toward survival. Yet amidst the preparations, moments of humanity shone through. Families held tight to each other, cherishing every second together. Strangers shared meals and stories, finding solace in connection during a time of uncertainty. Music played loudly in public squares, lifting spirits and reminding people of life's beauty, even in the face of annihilation. One particularly poignant moment occurred in Paris, where thousands gathered beneath the Eiffel Tower to sing songs of unity and defiance. A little girl stepped forward, clutching a battered guitar, and began playing a simple melody. One by one, voices joined hers, swelling into a chorus that carried far beyond the city limits. Similar gatherings took place worldwide, transforming fear into solidarity. As tensions mounted, so too did the stakes. Reports indicated increased activity among the alien fleet, suggesting an imminent attack. Military commanders braced for the worst, deploying troops to strategic locations and fortifying key infrastructure. Civilians fortified homes and bunkers, praying they'd survive whatever came next. Then, without warning, the Vorthak struck. Swarms of scout ships descended from the Star Destroyers, targeting cities across the globe with surgical precision. Skyscrapers crumbled under relentless laser fire. Bridges collapsed into rivers, and explosions illuminated nightscapes where stars used to shine. Streets became battlegrounds overnight as human forces clashed desperately with advanced alien technology. Lasers crisscrossed skies once filled with peaceful clouds. Screams echoed through neighborhoods turned war zones, and smoke choked the air. Despite suffering heavy losses, humanity fought back fiercely. Ingenuity became their greatest weapon. Guerrilla tactics proved surprisingly effective against the rigid formations of alien ships. Improvised explosives crafted from household chemicals damaged scout vessels, forcing them to retreat temporarily. Hackers infiltrated alien communication networks, disrupting coordination and sowing confusion among their ranks. Captain Rodriguez led several daring sorties during this period, earning legendary status among both allies and enemies alike. Her squadron achieved remarkable success using unconventional strategies designed to exploit weaknesses in Vorthak, shielding systems discovered through trial and error. By concentrating fire on specific points, they managed to breach defenses long enough to inflict significant damage before retreating. Still, victory remained elusive. Each skirmish won came at great cost, draining resources faster than they could be replenished. Morale wavered dangerously low as casualty reports piled up daily, painting a grim picture of humanity's chances against such overwhelming odds. Just when despair threatened to consume everyone involved, however, a breakthrough occurred, one that would alter the course of history forever. Deep within classified research facilities scattered around the globe, teams of scientists lay. The aftermath of the failed alien invasion left Earth in a state of cautious relief. The skies, once filled with the ominous glow of star destroyers, were now eerily quiet. The massive rift that had torn open the heavens had closed as mysteriously as it had appeared, leaving behind only questions and scars, both physical and emotional. Cities bore the marks of battle. Crumbled buildings, charred streets, and smoldering ruins served as grim reminders of humanity's brush with annihilation. Yet amidst the devastation there was also a sense of triumph. Humanity had faced an enemy far superior in technology and sheer power, and somehow, against all odds, they had prevailed. In the days following Operation Eclipse, people around the world began to pick up the pieces. Rescue teams combed through rubble, searching for survivors and recovering bodies. Hospitals overflowed with wounded soldiers and civilians, their halls echoing with cries of pain and whispered prayers of gratitude. Aid organizations worked tirelessly to distribute food, water, and medical supplies to those displaced by the conflict. Governments declared national emergencies, pouring resources into rebuilding efforts while grappling with the staggering financial toll of the war. Yet even as cities slowly rose from the ashes, the psychological impact of the invasion lingered. Many struggled to sleep at night, haunted by memories of laser fire lighting up the skies or the deafening roar of collapsing structures. Children clung to their parents, afraid to let them out of sight. Elderly neighbors sat on porches, staring blankly at the horizon, unable to shake the feeling that something else might come hurtling down from the stars. Therapists and counselors found themselves overwhelmed with patients seeking help to process the trauma. Despite these challenges, resilience remained humanity's defining trait. Communities came together like never before, pooling resources and supporting one another through acts of kindness, both large and small. In New York City, volunteers transformed abandoned warehouses into temporary housing for displaced families. In rural India, farmers shared crops with neighboring villages whose fields had been destroyed during skirmishes. Social media became a lifeline, connecting people across continents who exchanged stories of survival, tips for coping with loss, and words of encouragement. Captain Elena Rodriguez emerged as a symbol of this resilience. Her role in leading the daring sorties against the Vorthak fleet had made her a household name, but she refused to rest on her laurels. Instead, she dedicated herself to helping others heal. She visited hospitals to speak with wounded soldiers, offering words of comfort and sharing stories of bravery. She traveled to schools speaking to students about teamwork, perseverance, and the importance of standing up for what you believe in, even when the odds seem impossible. "I'm not special," she often said during these visits, her voice firm yet gentle. "I'm just someone who did what needed to be done, and so can you." Her humility resonated deeply with audiences, inspiring countless individuals to take action in their own communities. A teenager in London started a fundraising campaign to rebuild a local park destroyed during the invasion. A retired teacher in Brazil organized free tutoring sessions for children who had fallen behind due to school closures. Even small gestures, neighbor mowing someone's lawn, a stranger handing out bottled water, became acts of defiance against despair. Behind the scenes, however, tensions simmered. While the immediate threat of the Vorthak dominion had been neutralized, many wondered whether their victory would last. Had they truly defeated the invaders, or merely driven them away temporarily? What if the Vorthak returned with reinforcements, or worse, allies? These fears weighed heavily on world leaders, who convened emergency summits to discuss next steps. Some argued for aggressive measures, advocating for the development of advanced weaponry using reverse-engineered alien technology. Others pushed for diplomatic outreach, suggesting that humanity should attempt to establish communication with any remaining Vorthak forces or other extraterrestrial civilizations. Still, others called for caution, warning that reckless actions could provoke further hostility. Amidst these debates, scientists continued to study the captured alien tech, hoping to unlock its secrets. Dr. Jameson Lee, whose quantum disruptor, Array, QDA, had played a pivotal role in Operation Eclipse, led a team tasked with analyzing every fragment of recovered material. Their work took place in secure facilities hidden deep underground, guarded by elite military units to prevent unauthorized access. What they discovered was both fascinating and alarming. The Vorthak technology operated on principles far beyond anything humanity had achieved, relying on energy sources and materials unknown to Earth. Some devices contained traces of elements not found on the periodic table, suggesting that the Vorthak had mastered forms of science humans couldn't yet comprehend. Other artifacts hinted at biological enhancements, raising ethical concerns about potential applications. Dr. Lee's team also uncovered evidence of the Vorthak's motivations. Deciphered data logs revealed that the Dominion viewed Earth as a potential threat because of humanity's rapid technological advancement and unpredictable nature. To the Vorthak, Earth's unchecked growth represented chaos, a destabilizing force in an otherwise orderly galaxy. This revelation sparked heated discussions among researchers and policymakers alike. Should humanity slow its progress to avoid future conflicts, or embrace innovation fully, preparing for whatever challenges lay ahead? As weeks turned into months, life on Earth began to stabilize. Rebuilding efforts gained momentum, fueled by international cooperation and grassroots initiatives. Factories reopened, producing everything from prefabricated homes to agricultural equipment. Schools resumed classes, albeit in makeshift classrooms until permanent structures could be rebuilt. Artists painted murals on damaged walls, transforming symbols of destruction into messages of hope. But not everyone celebrated the return to normalcy. For some, the scars ran too deep. Soldiers returning from combat zones struggled to adjust to civilian life, plagued by nightmares and survivor's guilt. Civilians who had lost loved ones found solace elusive, their grief compounded by anger toward the invaders. Support groups sprang up to address these issues, providing safe spaces for people to share their experiences and find healing. One such group met weekly in a community center in Chicago. Led by Alex Chen, the young programmer who had hacked into the alien drone, the sessions attracted a diverse mix of participants: veterans, widows, teenagers orphaned by the war, and even former skeptics who had dismissed the invasion as a hoax until it hit home. Each meeting began with a moment of silence, followed by open discussion. Some attendees spoke passionately about their losses. Others listened quietly, finding comfort in shared pain. Alex himself rarely spoke, preferring to listen and offer support where needed. But when pressed, he admitted that his involvement in the resistance had changed him profoundly. "Before this happened, I thought my purpose was to write code," he confessed during one session. "Now I realize that my purpose is to protect the people I care about, to make sure nothing like this ever happens again." His words struck a chord with many, reinforcing the idea that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its technology, but in its ability to adapt, connect, and endure. It was a lesson echoed repeatedly in the stories of ordinary heroes who had risen to meet extraordinary challenges. In Antarctica, the site of Operation Eclipse became a focal point for reflection and remembrance. Scientists established research stations near the crash sites, studying the remnants of the destroyed star destroyers for clues about the Vorthak's origins and intentions. Environmentalists expressed concern about the impact of alien debris on the fragile ecosystem, prompting cleanup efforts led by volunteers from around the globe. Meanwhile, artists erected memorials honoring those who had sacrificed their lives during the conflict. One such memorial featured a towering sculpture of intertwined hands, crafted from melted fragments of alien metal. Inscribed at its base were the words, "United we stood." Visitors left flowers, letters, and mementos beneath it, creating a living tribute to resilience and unity. Back in political arenas, plans for Earth's future took shape. Recognizing the need for a unified defense strategy, world leaders proposed forming a Global Space Defense Initiative, GSDI. This organization would oversee the development of advanced technologies, coordinate responses to extraterrestrial threats, and foster collaboration between nations. Though fraught with logistical challenges, the initiative received widespread public support, underscoring humanity's determination to safeguard its future. Simultaneously, efforts to reach out diplomatically to other civilizations gained traction. Using insights gleaned from captured alien tech, linguists and engineers developed rudimentary communication systems capable of transmitting messages into deep space. These broadcasts included greetings, mathematical sequences, and images of Earth's diverse cultures accompanied by a plea for peaceful coexistence. "We are here," one message read. "We are learning. Let us build bridges instead of barriers." Whether these transmissions would reach sympathetic ears, or any ears at all, remained uncertain. But for many, the act of reaching out symbolized hope, a belief that humanity could transcend fear and forge connections across the cosmos. As the first anniversary, months passed since the Vorthok invasion had been thwarted, and Earth slowly began to rebuild. The scars of war were still visible: shattered cities, empty homes, and families forever changed. But life found a way to move forward. Humanity's victory over the alien fleet had sparked something profound, a collective realization that survival wasn't enough. To truly thrive in a universe where threats could come from beyond the stars, humanity needed to evolve, not just technologically, but socially, culturally, and morally. The Global Space Defense Initiative, GSDI, became the cornerstone of this evolution. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, the organization brought together scientists, engineers, diplomats, and military leaders from every corner of the globe. Its mission was twofold: to safeguard Earth against future extraterrestrial threats and to explore the vast unknown with an emphasis on peaceful coexistence. Funding for the GSDI came from governments, private corporations, and grassroots donations alike, reflecting a shared commitment to ensuring humanity's place among the stars. At the heart of the initiative lay the Quantum Disruptor Array, QDA, now hailed as humanity's greatest technological achievement. Dr. Jameson Lee, whose tireless work had made the device possible, continued to lead research efforts aimed at refining its capabilities. Under his guidance, teams of physicists and engineers developed smaller, portable versions of the QDA capable of disabling alien vessels without causing global-scale destruction. These advancements provided a crucial deterrent against potential aggressors while minimizing collateral damage, a key concern given the lessons learned during Operation Eclipse. But technology alone wouldn't secure humanity's future. Recognizing this, the GSDI also prioritized diplomacy. Using data recovered from captured Vorthok tech, linguists constructed rudimentary communication protocols designed to bridge the gap between human languages and those used by other civilizations. Engineers built massive satellite arrays capable of transmitting messages into deep space, broadcasting Earth's story alongside expressions of goodwill. Artifacts of human culture, music, art, literature, and scientific achievements were encoded into these transmissions, creating a digital time capsule meant to introduce Earth to any curious listeners. "We're not just sending signals," explained Dr. Mei Ling, a linguist working on the project. "We're sharing who we are, our hopes, our fears, our dreams. If there's anyone out there willing to listen, we want them to see us as more than survivors. We want them to see us as creators, thinkers, dreamers." These efforts weren't universally embraced. Skeptics argued that broadcasting Earth's location invited danger rather than fostering peace. Some conspiracy theorists claimed the GSDI was secretly developing weapons under the guise of diplomacy, while others accused world leaders of prioritizing interstellar relations over domestic issues like poverty and climate change. Protests erupted outside GSDI facilities, with demonstrators holding signs reading, "Fix Earth before fixing space," and "No more wars, not even galactic ones." Despite the criticism, public support for the initiative remained strong. Many saw it as a necessary step toward securing humanity's long-term survival. Schools incorporated lessons about the invasion and subsequent recovery into their curriculums, teaching students about resilience, innovation, and the importance of unity. Artists created murals depicting scenes from the conflict, transforming walls ravaged by war into vibrant celebrations of hope. Musicians composed symphonies inspired by the sounds of alien tech, blending them with traditional instruments to create something entirely new. Meanwhile, communities continued to heal. In neighborhoods devastated by battle, volunteers planted trees and flowers, turning barren lots into green spaces symbolizing renewal. Memorials dedicated to fallen soldiers and civilians sprang up in towns and cities worldwide, offering places for reflection and remembrance. Support groups expanded their reach, connecting people across continents through virtual meetings and shared resources. Captain Elena Rodriguez remained a central figure in this process of healing and growth. Now serving as an ambassador for the GSDI, she traveled extensively, meeting with world leaders, addressing crowds, and visiting schools. Her message was simple yet powerful. Humanity's strength lay in its diversity and determination. She often recounted stories from her squadron, highlighting moments when teamwork and creativity had turned seemingly impossible situations into victories. "Fear is natural," she told audiences during one speech in Tokyo. "It's what keeps us alive. But courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. And that's what we did. We looked up at those ships, knowing they were bigger and stronger, and we said, 'Not today.' That spirit, that refusal to give up, is what defines us." Her words resonated deeply, inspiring countless individuals to take action in their own lives. A young girl in Kenya started a recycling program after learning about environmental challenges discussed during a GSDI presentation. A retired engineer in Canada designed affordable solar panels based on principles observed in alien tech. Even small acts, like planting a tree or volunteering at a shelter, took on new meaning as symbols of humanity's collective effort to build a better future. Yet even as progress unfolded, questions lingered about the Vorthak Dominion itself. What had happened to the remnants of their fleet? Had they retreated permanently, or were they regrouping for another assault? Intelligence, gathered from recovered drones, suggested that the Vorthak viewed Earth's defiance as both a threat and a curiosity. Some speculated that they might attempt to negotiate rather than attack again, seeking to understand how such an inferior species had managed to resist them. To prepare for either possibility, the GSDI launched Project Sentinel, a network of orbital satellites equipped with advanced sensors and early warning systems. These satellites monitored activity near Earth's orbit, scanning for signs of approaching spacecraft or anomalies in space-time. Ground-based observatories collaborated closely with the program, tracking celestial movements and identifying potential threats before they reached the planet. Simultaneously, researchers delved deeper into the mysteries of the Vorthak themselves. Deciphered logs revealed glimpses of their society, a rigid hierarchy governed by cold logic, with little tolerance for dissent or unpredictability. Their disdain for Earth stemmed not only from humanity's rapid advancement, but also from its chaotic nature. Emotions, creativity, and individuality were seen as flaws to be eradicated. This revelation sparked debates among philosophers and sociologists, who questioned whether humanity should strive to emulate the Vorthak's efficiency or embrace its imperfections as strengths. For many, the answer seemed clear. Humanity's ability to adapt, innovate, and connect emotionally set it apart from the Vorthak, and likely from countless other civilizations across the galaxy. It was these qualities that had allowed ordinary people to rise above extraordinary circumstances, forging bonds of solidarity and finding solutions in the face of overwhelming odds. As the first-year anniversary of the invasion approached, preparations for a global commemoration event intensified. Cities planned ceremonies featuring speeches, performances, and moments of silence. Schools organized essay contests encouraging students to reflect on lessons learned from the crisis. Social media campaigns urged people to share stories of courage and solidarity under the hashtag Thucker One Earth, One Future. On the day itself, millions gathered in public squares, parks, and stadiums to honor the past and look toward the future. In Times Square, a massive screen displayed images of heroes and victims alike, accompanied by a countdown to midnight. When the clock struck 12, fireworks erupted overhead, painting the sky with bursts of color. Cheers rang out, mingling with tears and applause. For Captain Elena Rodriguez, the moment was bittersweet. Standing on stage alongside fellow survivors, she gazed out at the sea of faces illuminated by light sticks and candles. Behind her, a banner proclaimed, "Together, We rise. This isn't the end, she told the crowd, her voice steady but filled with emotion. It's a beginning, a chance to rebuild not just our homes but ourselves. To remember what we fought for and why it matters. To keep moving forward, no matter what comes next. Her words resonated deeply, echoing through speakers and streaming platforms worldwide. They served as a reminder that humanity's journey was far from over. Challenges undoubtedly lay ahead, but so too did opportunities, to grow, to innovate, and to dream of a brighter tomorrow. And so, as the celebrations faded and daily life resumed, humanity carried on. The scars of the invasion remained, etched into landscapes and hearts alike. But alongside them grew something stronger, a renewed sense of purpose, a commitment to protecting the planet and each other, and an unwavering belief in the power of unity. Whatever the future held, humanity stood ready, not just to survive but to thrive. In laboratories, classrooms, and living rooms around the world, people continued to push boundaries, ask questions, and imagine possibilities. They dreamed of exploring distant planets, making contact with benevolent civilizations, and leaving behind a legacy worthy of the stars. For all its flaws and struggles, humanity had proven itself capable of greatness. And as long as that spirit endured, the sky or even the universe was no longer a limit. It was simply the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's story. Years passed since the Vorthak invasion, and Earth entered a new era, one defined by resilience, innovation, and hope. The scars of war had faded somewhat, replaced by towering skyscrapers rebuilt stronger than before, sprawling green spaces where rubble once lay, and monuments that told stories of courage and unity. Humanity had not only survived but thrived, proving itself capable of adapting to challenges far greater than anyone could have imagined. The Global Space Defense Initiative, GSDI, grew into a cornerstone of global cooperation, its influence extending beyond defense to encompass exploration, diplomacy, and scientific discovery. Satellite arrays monitored the skies constantly, scanning for any signs of extraterrestrial activity. Meanwhile, research teams delved deeper into alien technology, unlocking secrets that transformed industries across the planet. Energy grids powered by quantum principles eliminated reliance on fossil fuels in many regions. Medical advancements, based on alien bioengineering techniques, cured diseases once thought incurable. Humanity's future seemed brighter than ever. But it was also clear that this progress came with responsibilities. One such responsibility became evident when signals from deep space began arriving at Earth's listening stations. At first, they were faint and fragmented, almost indistinguishable from cosmic noise. But over time, patterns emerged. Mathematical sequences, rhythmic pulses, and even what appeared to be linguistic structures. Scientists worked tirelessly to decode these messages, suspecting they might come from civilizations seeking contact after witnessing humanity's defiance against the Vorthak dominion. Dr. Mei Ling, now leading the GSDI's Diplomatic Outreach Division, spearheaded efforts to craft responses. Drawing inspiration from Earth's diverse cultures, she oversaw the creation of multimedia transmissions, combining visual art, music, mathematics, and language. These messages aimed to convey humanity's complexity while emphasizing peace and curiosity. Each transmission ended with a simple phrase: "We are here. Let us learn together." As months turned into years, patience paid off. One evening, as Dr. Ling reviewed data from a distant observatory, her team detected something extraordinary. A reply. It wasn't from the Vorthak, but from another species entirely. Their message was concise, yet profound. Acknowledged, we watch, you endure. Though cryptic, the response sparked jubilation among researchers. For the first time, humanity had proof that it wasn't alone, and that others were watching with interest rather than hostility. This milestone marked the beginning of interstellar diplomacy. Over the next decade, humanity exchanged more messages, with several alien civilizations, each vastly different from the last. Some communicated through intricate light patterns, others via harmonic vibrations resembling music. While none sent physical envoys to Earth, their willingness to engage signaled a cautious optimism about humanity's place in the galaxy. Back on Earth, life continued to evolve in remarkable ways. Cities transformed into hubs of sustainability and innovation. Floating farms harvested crops above oceans, reducing pressure on land resources. Autonomous vehicles powered by clean energy zipped silently through streets lined with vertical gardens. Education systems adapted to prepare students for careers in fields unimaginable just decades earlier. Astrobiology, xenolinguistics, and interstellar engineering became popular majors at universities worldwide. Yet despite these advances, humanity didn't forget its past. Memorials dedicated to those who fought and died during the Vorthak invasion stood proudly in every major city. Annual commemorations brought people together, reminding them of the sacrifices made and the values upheld during humanity's darkest hour. Stories of ordinary heroes like Captain Elena Rodriguez, Alex Chen, and countless unnamed individuals inspired generations to come. Captain Rodriguez herself remained a guiding figure, though she stepped back from active duty to focus on mentoring young leaders. She traveled extensively, speaking at conferences, schools, and community events. Her speeches emphasized humility, collaboration, and the importance of staying grounded despite humanity's growing reach into the cosmos. "We've learned so much," she often said, "but we must never lose sight of who we are or why we fight." Alex Chen, meanwhile, became a pioneer in cybernetics, leveraging his expertise in programming and reverse engineering alien tech to develop prosthetics that restored mobility to amputees and enhanced human capabilities. His work earned him international acclaim, but he remained humble, crediting his success to the collective effort of scientists and volunteers worldwide. "It's not about me," he'd say with a smile. "It's about giving people the tools to live fuller lives." Dr. Jameson Lee, too, found fulfillment in sharing knowledge. After retiring from active research, he wrote books explaining complex scientific concepts in accessible language, inspiring countless young minds to pursue careers in STEM fields. His memoir, From Chaos to Cosmos, became a bestseller, chronicling humanity's journey from near extinction to interstellar prominence. But even as humanity reached new heights, challenges persisted. Climate change, inequality, and political tensions still plagued parts of the world. However, the shared experience of facing an existential threat had fostered a sense of global solidarity. Nations collaborated more openly, pooling resources to tackle common problems. Grassroots movements gained momentum, empowering marginalized communities and advocating for justice. People realized that survival required not just technological prowess, but compassion and equity. In 2045, exactly 25 years after the Vorthak invasion, Earth celebrated its silver jubilee of resilience. Festivities spanned continents, featuring parades, concerts, and exhibitions showcasing humanity's achievements. In Times Square, massive holograms projected images of milestones: the launch of humanity's first interstellar probe, the establishment of lunar colonies, and the signing of treaties with friendly alien species. Fireworks lit up skies around the globe, synchronized to create dazzling displays visible from space. During the main ceremony held in Geneva, Captain Elena Rodriguez delivered a speech that resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. Standing beneath a banner reading, "To Infinity and Beyond," she reflected on how far humanity had come and how much further it could go. "We faced annihilation and chose to stand tall," she began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "We stared into the abyss and found strength we didn't know we had. And now we look to the stars, not with fear but with wonder. Not as conquerors but as explorers. Not as divided nations, but as one human family." She paused, allowing her words to sink in before continuing. "The road ahead won't be easy. There will be challenges, failures, and moments of doubt. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our intelligence, it's our ability to dream, to imagine a better world and then build it together." Her final words echoed through speakers and screens, uniting billions in a shared vision of hope. Let us honor those who came before us by reaching higher, striving harder, and loving deeper. Because no matter what lies ahead, we will always rise together. Applause erupted, tears flowed freely, and cheers filled the air. Across the globe, people watched and listened, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They knew the journey wouldn't end here. It was merely a stepping stone toward greater horizons. In the years that followed, humanity took bold steps forward. Lunar colonies expanded into self-sustaining cities, providing safe havens for scientific research and cultural exchange. Mars saw its first permanent settlements built using materials mined from asteroids and advanced 3D printing techniques. Interstellar probes ventured farther than ever before, sending back breathtaking images of distant galaxies and mysterious exoplanets, and then, in 2067, history repeated itself, but this time under vastly different circumstances. A fleet of ships descended upon Earth, not with weapons blazing, but with peaceful intentions, piloted by representatives of multiple alien species, including some humanity had communicated with for decades. They sought formal alliances. Together, humans and aliens signed the Treaty of Galactic Cooperation, pledging mutual respect, shared knowledge, and joint efforts to preserve the universe's fragile balance. For all its flaws, humanity had proven itself worthy of standing alongside other intelligent beings. Its resilience, creativity, and unyielding spirit had earned it a seat at the galactic table. As starships from various civilizations gathered peacefully above Earth, casting gentle lights onto the planet below, one truth became undeniable. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. And so, as the sun set on another day, children gazed up at the sky, not with fear but with dreams of exploring worlds beyond their own. Parents smiled knowingly, aware that their struggles had paved the way for brighter futures. Humanity had faced terror and emerged fearless, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited among the stars. The story of Earth's triumph over despair served as a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope could shine brightest. From chaos came order, from division came unity, and from fear came courage. Humanity had risen not because it was perfect, but because it refused to give up. And as long as that spirit endured, the possibilities were infinite.